Welcome to After the Affair. If you're here, you're searching for truth in a world full of performances. Drop a comment, share your story, and let's build this community together. Now let's dive in. Michael, I don't love you anymore. I'm in love with someone else. Those were the first words out of my wife's mouth when we sat down at the steakhouse in downtown Phoenix. No small talk, no easing into it, just a sledgehammer straight through my chest, while couples around us celebrated anniversaries and birthdays like love was still a real thing. I stared at her, trying to process what I'd just heard, while soft jazz played in the background. Then, exactly 8 seconds later, her face went white as a ghost. The man she was in love with, the man she was about to blow up our marriage for, walked through the front door with his wife and 3 kids. In that moment, I had one thought. This is about to be the longest dinner of my life. But before I tell you what happened next, you need to understand how I got to that table in the first place. My name is Michael Torres. I'm 41 years old. I'm a high school history teacher in Tempe, Arizona. I'm the guy who shows up early, stays late, helps kids who struggle, and coaches JV basketball because nobody else wanted to. I grade papers at home. I prep lessons on weekends, and I genuinely love what I do, even though the pay is nothing special. My wife, Christina, was a pharmaceutical sales rep, confident, driven, made 3 times what I made, drove a company car, traveled constantly. From the outside, we looked like the classic opposites attract story, the steady teacher and the ambitious saleswoman. For a long time, I thought we balanced each other out. We met at a friend's wedding in Scottsdale 12 years ago. I was the quiet guy at the bar nursing a beer. She was the life of the reception, dancing, laughing, talking to everyone. When she sat down next to me and asked why I wasn't dancing, I told her I had 2 left feet. She grabbed my hand and pulled me onto the floor anyway. That was Christina. All momentum, all confidence, all energy. I fell for it immediately. We dated for 2 years. Got married at a small chapel in Sedona. Bought a house in Chandler with a backyard and a pool we couldn't really afford, but she insisted on. She wanted the lifestyle, the entertaining space, the image. I wanted her happy. So I worked extra summer school sessions and weekend tutoring gigs to help cover it. For the first few years it worked. She traveled for work but always came home with stories. I had my routine with school and coaching. We'd meet in the middle, have dinner, watch shows, plan little weekend trips to Flagstaff or San Diego. It wasn't perfect, but it felt real. Then about 18 months ago, something shifted. At first, I thought it was just her career ramping up. New territory, bigger accounts, more pressure. She started working later, traveling more, spending entire weekends at conferences. I told myself that's just what ambitious people do. They chase success. I should be proud. But pride doesn't keep you warm when you're eating dinner alone 4 nights a week. The changes started small. Her phone went from sitting on the counter to living in her purse, always on silent, always face down. Our conversations shrank from real talks to logistics. Who's picking up groceries? Did you pay the water bill? What time is your game tonight? We stopped asking each other how our days actually were. We stopped caring about the answer. The bedroom got colder too. Not angry cold, just distant. We'd lie on opposite sides of the bed with a canyon of space between us. I'd reach for her hand sometimes, and she'd mumble something about being tired and turn toward the wall. After a while, I stopped reaching. One night I tried to talk about it. "Are we okay?" I asked. She was scrolling her phone, barely looked up. "We're fine, Michael. I'm just busy. You're reading too much into things." That's what she always said. "You're overthinking. So, you're being paranoid. You're making problems that don't exist." So I stopped bringing it up because when someone tells you your reality is imaginary often enough, you start to doubt yourself. Then I started noticing a name. Brandon. Brandon said this. Brandon thinks that. Brandon really gets the challenges in this market. At first it was just work talk. Every job has a Brandon. But he kept showing up in her sentences. At breakfast, at night, on weekends. Their team did this. Their strategy was that. Not our ideas anymore. Theirs. She'd light up when she talked about wins they'd had together, accounts they'd landed, trips they'd taken to meet clients. I told myself I was being insecure. She's allowed to have work friends. Don't be that jealous husband. So I smiled, nodded, asked polite questions, and swallowed the knot in my stomach. But late at night, when the house was quiet and she was asleep, that name wouldn't leave me alone. Brandon. One Saturday morning, Christina was in the shower and her phone was on the kitchen counter. It lit up with a text preview. Miss you already. Can't wait for next time. My heart stopped. I didn't pick it up, didn't scroll, didn't invade her privacy, but I couldn't unsee those words. Miss you already. From who? After what? I tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was a girlfriend from the conference. Maybe it was her sister. Maybe it was innocent and I was spiraling. But when she came out of the shower and grabbed her phone, she saw me standing there. Did you look at my phone? No, I said, but I saw the preview. She rolled her eyes. That was Sarah from work. We had drinks last night after the conference ended. You're seriously going to make this into something? I wasn't making it into anything. I was just asking. Well, don't, she snapped. I'm not doing this paranoid husband routine with you. She walked out of the kitchen, and I stood there feeling like I'd been gaslighted in my own home. After that, I started paying more attention. Not snooping, just noticing. I opened our joint credit card statement online. Line after line of charges from restaurants in Scottsdale, hotels in Tucson, bars in downtown Phoenix. Too many work dinners, too many overnight stays that didn't match the conference schedule she'd told me about. I pulled up her calendar that we shared for family stuff, compared it to the charges. Same nights, different stories. Client dinner became expensive steakhouse for two. Conference hotel became boutique place with couples spa packages. The math wasn't adding up. And I teach math. I know when numbers lie. I did what every suspicious person does now. I went to social media, typed in his name, Brandon Mitchell plus pharmaceutical plus Arizona. Found him immediately. Polished profile photo, confident smile, expensive suit, bio full of awards and President's Club achievements. The kind of guy who lives in Christina's world, not mine. Then I saw his personal page. Married, 3 kids, family photos at baseball games and birthday parties. His wife's name was Rachel. She looked kind. Her page was full of kid activities, school events, family dinners. She posted things like blessed beyond measure and grateful for my tribe with photos of her family smiling. I stared at those pictures for a long time. Because if my gut was right, the man destroying my marriage was kissing those kids goodnight and lying to that woman every single day. I went back and forth for a week. If I was wrong, I'd blow up an innocent family. If I was right and stayed quiet, all of this would keep happening in the dark. The evidence kept piling up. The text, the charges, the overnight trips, the way Christina's whole face changed when she said his name. Finally, I opened Facebook Messenger and found Rachel Mitchell. Typed out a dozen different versions of the same message. All of them sounded insane. In the end, I wrote the simplest version I could. Hi, Rachel. My name is Michael Torres. I'm married to Christina Torres, who works with your husband, Brandon. I think we need to talk about what our spouses are doing when they're together. I stared at that message for 10 minutes before hitting send. Once I did, there was no going back. Rachel responded 3 hours later. Just 2 words. Call me. We talked that night for over an hour. 2 strangers comparing notes on the people we'd married. She'd had the same doubts, the late nights, the guarded phone, the business trips that didn't match up with what Brandon told her. One time she'd seen a text from Christina that said tonight was perfect in the preview. He'd flipped the phone over so fast he knocked over his coffee. We laid everything out. Her suspicions against my receipts, her timeline against my calendar, her gut against my evidence. By the end of the call, we both knew the truth, even though neither of us wanted to say it out loud. Your husband is having an affair with my wife, and mine is having one with yours. Rachel cried. Not loud, just this quiet, broken sound. I'm so sorry, she whispered. I kept hoping I was wrong. Me too, I said, but we're not. After we hung up, I sat in my car in the driveway for a long time. I didn't want to go inside. Didn't want to sleep next to someone who'd been lying to me for months. But I also knew I couldn't keep living like this, pretending I didn't know, swallowing the lies, waiting for her to finally tell me the truth. That's when Rachel texted me again. Brandon just told me he has a work dinner Friday night, downtown Phoenix, some client thing. My chest tightened. Christina told me this morning she has a team dinner Friday. Same story. Same night. Rachel sent another message. What if we showed up? What if we just walked in and saw it for ourselves? I stared at that text for a long time. Then I typed back, "Where did he say they're going?" She sent me the name of the restaurant. I felt my stomach drop. Christina made a reservation there for Friday too. She told me it was a girls' night with co-workers. We coordinated everything over the next 2 days. Christina and I would go to dinner at that steakhouse. Rachel would show up with Brandon, pretending she wanted to surprise him by joining his work dinner. We'd all end up in the same place at the same time. If we were wrong, we'd look paranoid. If we were right, there'd be no more lying. Friday morning felt surreal. I went through my normal routine. Made coffee, graded quizzes, went to school, taught 5 periods of US history, coached practice. But the whole day felt like I was underwater. Everything moved in slow motion. Kids asked me questions, and I had to ask them to repeat themselves. During practice, I called the wrong plays. One of my players asked if I was okay. "Yeah," I said, "just tired." But I wasn't tired, I was terrified. That night, Christina came out of the bedroom looking different. Hair styled in a way I'd never seen, makeup more dramatic than usual, a dress I didn't recognize, new perfume too, sharp and expensive, not the warm vanilla scent I used to smell on my pillow. "You look nice," I said. She barely glanced at me. "Thanks. Girls are picky about these places. You know how it is," I nodded. "Have fun." She grabbed her keys and walked out without that kissing me goodbye. I watched her taillights disappear down the street. Then I got dressed myself. Button-down shirt, clean jeans, the cologne she bought me 2 Christmases ago that I'd barely worn. Drove to the restaurant with my hands shaking on the wheel. I got there 20 minutes early. Sat at the bar nursing a water, watching the door. My phone buzzed. "Rachel, we're 10 minutes out. Brandon has no idea I'm coming." I typed back. "Christina's already inside. Said she's meeting co-workers." Another lie. The bartender asked if I wanted another drink. I shook my head. I'm waiting for someone. At exactly 7:15, Christina walked in. She looked around, saw me at the bar, and her face went through 3 emotions in 2 seconds. Surprise, confusion, then forced cheerfulness. "Michael, what are you doing here?" I smiled. "You said you were meeting co-workers for dinner. I was nearby and thought I'd surprise you. Maybe join you guys." Her face tightened. "Oh, this is more of a work venting thing. You'd be bored." I stood up. "I don't mind being bored." She opened her mouth to argue, but the hostess called her name. "Party of 2? Your table's ready." Christina's eyes darted to the door, then back to me. Finally, she just sighed. "Fine, whatever." We followed the hostess to a booth near the back. Christina sat down and immediately started scrolling her phone. "Are your co-workers running late?" I asked. She didn't look up. "Yeah, they're stuck in traffic." We sat in painful silence for 5 minutes. She kept glancing at her phone, at the door, at anything that wasn't me. Then she finally put the phone down and looked at me with an expression I'd never seen before. Not love, not even affection. Just tired resignation. "Michael, we need to talk." "Okay. I don't know how to say this," she took a breath, "so I'm just going to say it. I don't love you anymore." The words hit me like a truck, but somehow I'd known they were coming. I felt my chest tighten, but I kept my face still. "Okay," I said quietly. "There's someone else." She continued. "I didn't plan for this to happen. It just did. He makes me feel alive in ways you never have. Every word was a knife. Not just I'm leaving, but you were never enough. I met someone better. Someone who excites me." I swallowed hard. "Who is he?" Before she could answer, the front door of the restaurant opened, and there he was. Brandon Mitchell. Tall, confident, expensive suit, walking in with his wife Rachel right beside him. And behind them, 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl, all dressed up like this was a special family dinner. Christina's face drained of all color. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. I watched Brandon scan the restaurant, probably looking for Christina. His eyes landed on our booth, then on his wife beside him. Then back on Christina. The smile died on his face. Rachel saw us next. She looked at Brandon, then at Christina, then at me. For a few seconds, nobody moved. The 4 of us just frozen in this horrible moment of truth. Then Rachel's face hardened. She looked at her husband and said loud enough for nearby tables to hear, "So this is your work dinner?" Brandon's kids looked confused. "Dad, who are those people?" Brandon grabbed Rachel's arm. "Not here. Let's talk outside." She yanked her arm away. "No, we're talking right here. Right now." The restaurant got quiet. Fork stopped moving. Conversations died. Everyone was suddenly watching our corner of the room like it was a show they didn't pay for but couldn't look away from. Christina's hands were shaking. She tried to grab her purse, stand up, leave. I didn't stop her. I just sat there watching it all unfold. Rachel walked over to our booth, her kids trailing behind, looking scared. Brandon followed, whispering desperately, "Rachel, please," not in front of the kids. She ignored him, looked straight at Christina. "How long?" Christina couldn't meet her eyes. "I don't know what you're talking about." Rachel laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. It was sharp and broken. "Don't lie to me. Not now, not in front of my children." One of the boys, maybe 8 years old, tugged on his mom's sleeve. "Mom, what's happening?" Rachel's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't break. She looked at Brandon. "You told me you had a work dinner. You told me it was important. You told me you'd be home by 9 to help with homework." He reached for her again. "I can explain." "There's nothing to explain," she said. "You've been lying to me for months, maybe years." The restaurant was dead silent now. Even the kitchen seemed to have stopped moving. Christina finally found her voice. "This isn't what it looks like." Rachel turned to her, eyes blazing. "Then what is it? Because from where I'm standing, you've been sleeping with my husband while your own husband sits at home wondering why you don't love him anymore." That sentence hung in the air like smoke. Christina looked at me for the first time since they walked in. Her face was pale, mascara starting to run. "Michael, I'm so sorry. I didn't want you to find out like this." I felt something cold settle in my chest. "You wanted me to find out at all?" She flinched. Brandon tried one more time to salvage things. "Rachel, let's go home. We'll talk there. We'll figure this out." She shook her head. "No. I'm done figuring things out. I'm done pretending I don't see what's right in front of me." She looked at Christina. "You can have him. He's been lying to me since our youngest was born, cheating with co-workers, with clients, with anyone who smiled at him." She turned back to Brandon. "I've known for 6 months. I've been documenting everything. Every late night, every business trip, every lie. My lawyer already has it all." His face went white. "Rachel, you can't. I already did." She grabbed her kids' hands. "Come on, babies, we're leaving." "But we just got here," the little girl said. "We'll go somewhere better," Rachel replied. The 3 of them walked toward the door. Brandon stood there frozen, watching his family leave. Then he looked at Christina. "This is your fault," he hissed. "You pushed too hard, you got too needy." Christina's eyes went wide. "My fault? You said you were leaving her. You said you loved me." "I never said that," Brandon shot back. "You heard what you wanted to hear." And with that, he walked out too, chasing his family into the parking lot. Christina and I sat in that booth surrounded by shocked silence. She was crying now. Full, ugly sobs, the kind that shake your whole body. "Everyone's staring," she whispered. I looked around. She was right. Every eye in the restaurant was on us. I stood up slowly, pulled out my wallet, and dropped enough cash on the table to cover a meal we never ate. Then I looked at my wife. "Ex-wife, I guess." "You wanted honesty," I said quietly. "Now you have it." Her face crumpled. "Michael, please. We can talk about this. We can fix this." I shook my head. "There's nothing to fix. You broke it. You chose him. And now everyone knows." I walked out of that restaurant and into the parking lot. The night air was cool against my face. I could hear Christina calling my name behind me, but I didn't turn around. I got in my car, started the engine, and drove away from the wreckage. The house felt different when I got home, empty in a way it hadn't been before. I walked through rooms that used to hold a marriage and now just held furniture, sat on the couch in the dark, let everything wash over me, the humiliation, the anger, the grief, but underneath it all was something else. Relief. Because for the first time in 18 months, I wasn't wondering if I was crazy. I wasn't questioning my gut. I wasn't swallowing lies and calling it trust. The truth was finally out, ugly and public and irreversible, but out. My phone rang. Unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Michael?" It was Rachel. Her voice sounded tired but steady. "I just wanted to say thank you." "For what?" "For helping me see it. For not letting me keep living in denial." We talked for an hour. 2 people whose marriages had just exploded, comparing notes on the ruins. She told me about the years of suspicion, the gaslighting, the times Brandon made her feel crazy for questioning him. I told her about the slow fade, the distance, the feeling of being replaced in my own home. By the end, we both agreed on one thing. We weren't the problem. We were just married to people who'd rather lie than leave. Christina tried to come home that night. I'd changed the lock. She called, texted, left voicemails ranging from apologetic to furious. I need my things. We need to talk. You can't just lock me out of my own house. But it wasn't her house anymore. It was mine. I'd been paying the mortgage with teacher salary and summer school money while she spent her income on hotels and lies. The next morning, Rachel texted me. Brandon moved out. He's staying with his brother. I filed for divorce this morning. I'm keeping the kids in the house. He can have his car and his lies. I wrote back. Christina's moving in with her sister. I'm filing Monday. We're both better off. She sent back a simple message. Truth always wins, even when it hurts. The divorce was ugly. Christina tried to fight for half the house, half my retirement, alimony. My lawyer laughed. She made 3 times your salary, had an affair and abandoned the marriage. You owe her nothing. We settled in mediation. She got her car, her 401k, and a life lesson about consequences. I kept the house, my peace of mind and my dignity. Brandon and Rachel's divorce was worse. Custody battle, financial mess, kids caught in the middle. But Rachel was stronger than anyone gave her credit for. She got primary custody, child support, and a fresh start. Last I heard, Brandon was living in a different city trying to rebuild his reputation. Good luck with that. Christina reached out 6 months later. 1 text. I'm sorry, I was selfish. I threw away something real for something that was never going to last. I stared at that message for a long time. Then I wrote back, I forgive you. Not for you, for me. But we're done. She never responded. A year later, I'm teaching at the same school, coaching the same team, living in the same house. But everything feels different, lighter, more honest. I started dating again, nothing serious yet. Just coffee, dinners, conversations with people who don't lie about where they're going. I'm not bitter, I'm just careful now. I know what red flags look like, and I know what I won't tolerate again. Rachel and I stayed in touch, not romantic. Just 2 people who survived the same storm and check in on each other sometimes. Her kids are doing better. She's doing better. We both rebuilt our lives 1 honest day at a time. If I had to give advice to anyone going through this, it's simple. Trust your gut. Don't let anyone convince you your reality is paranoia. Don't ignore the signs because confronting them is uncomfortable. And if you find out the truth, don't hide it. Don't protect people who hurt you. Let the truth do what it's supposed to do. Burn away the lies and leave only what's real. That night in the Phoenix steakhouse destroyed my marriage, but it also freed me. And sometimes freedom comes disguised as the worst night of your life. Thanks for listening. If this story hit home, share it with someone who needs to hear that they're not crazy. Drop your thoughts below. And remember, you're not defined by someone else's betrayal. You're defined by how you walk away from it.